Hello peeps, welcome to my channel, welcome to my studio, and welcome to this little tutorial. Now in this class, we're going to make the pieces for this necklace. We're not going to make the clasp itself, but I will link to the instructions for the clasp. What these are, they're lentils, but they're hollow. This is one without the decorative embellishment because I happen to like big jewelry, but I like it as light as possible. I don't like wearing really, really heavy jewelry. When I first started, you know, I'm telling you, I have pieces now that are so heavy. They're kind of uncomfortably heavy. So one of the ways that my work has changed over the years is that I now always try to make my jewelry lighter. Yeah, it's a goal. It's a goal. So this is what we're going to do. These are hollow lentil beads strung to make a choker. So I think it's time to start. We got some beads to make. Okay, peeps, let's talk about what we need to make these hollow lentils. Yes. First thing we're going to make is we're going to make the hollow lentils in scrap clay. So you're going to need scrap clay. You're also going to need round cutters. You see, this was actually the cutter I used. Boom. And you're going to need something to form the halves over, because these are constructed as halves. Takes two of these to make one of these. Okay, so you're going to need that. I got this in an Asian grocery store. It is for dim sum. So keep your eyes open. If you have an Asian grocery store, go in there, see if they have it in the section where they have dishes and pots and pans and stuff, and you might get lucky. I bought about 4 of them. You can also use something like this, which is a metal paint tray. If you look at it, it's quite a bit deeper, right? Deeper and smaller. And if I use that, I probably end up with not lentils, but balls. So there you have it. Now, the next thing you're going to need is the materials to make this laminate. This. Okay, so what I use is black clay, always black, because I have found personally that when I'm applying this gold paint onto the clay, it looks much better if I put it on black. I've tried it on gold, and there's just no contrast. It's just, it looks kind of dull to me, so I always use black clay. The paint I use is Liquitex. This is iridescent rich gold, red oxide rouge de Mars. Now, the thing you have to know is that this paint is extremely old. I don't think they make this paint anymore. I think they replaced this paint with something called heavy-bodied acrylics. So that's what you'll be looking for. They might still have iridescent rich gold, not sure. I know they have several different golds. Okay, so you'll have to pick a gold. This, I don't think you'll have any trouble finding, really. Just make sure it's heavy-bodied and not, like, really loose. Okay. Now, to make the impression, you're going to need something like this. Yeah. Now, this is the one I use. This is one of my rubber stamps, and this is the one I use to make this particular sheet. Now, to make this one, I use this. Just a bunch of spirals. Now, you're going to put the paint on, and you're going to push it into your texture. You don't want it to stick in there, do you? That's why you need a dry release agent. This is cornstarch. You're going to need a brush as well. You're also going to need a sheet of this, because as you're rolling, you don't want the clay to stick to your acrylic rod. And this will help you. You can trust me on that. Okay, let's see. Now, in terms of the pattern, I did two distinctly different types of patterns. This is a much shallower stamp, and you can see I'm still able to do it. This is so much deeper. See the depth of that? It's completely different. So I wouldn't say you must use one or the other. Just use something you like. Now, when you select your stamp or your impression, try to choose one that's kind of fine. Not a pattern that's like all spread out and big, because you're going to be spreading the sheet. And so whatever you impress is going to get bigger. Okay. Now, let's see. What else do we need? Oh, of course, we need some sandpaper. This is Auburnette. I think this is P180, but you can use 120, 150, 180. 200 gets a little bit fine. So I have found that something like 150, 180 is really great for just knocking down the clay fast. Okay, because once you get these together, you're going to be sanding them, because see that's not very nice, that edge there. So you're going to need this for your own comfort, for your hand. Wrap it around something like a sanding block. You know, I think that's, putting it together. If you're going to make this piece, you're going to need crimps. These are crimp beads. You're going to need 2 crimps. You need tiger tail to string. You're going to need screw eye pins. Now, this is my clasp. I designed this clasp, but you need the template to make it. So I'll put the link on there in case you already have it. If you're interested in it, you can buy it. It comes in sets. This is the big one. There's another one that's smaller. So anyway, I will put the link to that tutorial so you can see how it's made. It's a really great clasp. If I do say so myself, I designed it. Okay, so I believe, I think that's it. I don't think I forgot anything. So once you have assembled your goodies, it's time to start. Let's do it. All right, peeps, so let's look at what I've got. Now, what I have here is black clay, and let me say something. If you have clay like this, you see how this is very dark gray, there's some black in there. This is perfectly fine for this purpose. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to use your good black clay for this. You can use like gray, like this I think I fished out of my scrap. And so this is actually fine for this purpose. Now, this sheet, it has been rolled through the thickest setting of the pasta machine. And as I demonstrated to you with acrylic paint, what I've done here is I've applied 3 or 4 coats of acrylic paint. I use Liquitex Iridescent Rich Gold. I love it, but I have a lot of it. And it's a good thing. I love it. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that it is dry to the touch, you see. Now, I picked up just a little bit, so it's not quite ready. It's got to dry a little bit more. You don't want to touch it and bring up any paint at all. This is old paint. This is not from here. Okay? So let's just wait for a few minutes and I'll be back. All right, so it's dry. And rather than put it on tile, I just slapped it right on my work surface because it's really stuck. It's stuck, yeah. And I didn't have any plans for something else to do, so worked out fine. So let's just get it off. Like so. And here is the sheet. Now, if you've watched any of these things that I do, then you have seen that you can layer the paints in different ways. I could have started out with black impressed and used only the red oxide. I like this look very much. I use it a lot. in this case, I wanted a gold lentil with just some red oxide accents. I'm not going to use any other colors. It's going to be kind of a simpler thing. Okay, so here is my stamp. And what I'm going to do is use cornstarch, because I need a resist, but I need a dry resist, don't I? If I use water, what's going to happen to the paint? Yeah, so this is a situation where you need a dry resist agent, and I really like cornstarch. And I will use quite a bit of it because I don't want any sticking. Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. Okay, now let us take our gold painted clay sheet and lay it down on top. Now, usually I dust the back with cornstarch. And that works, you know, it'll keep the acrylic rod from sticking to the clay, of course, but it creates another problem. And that other problem is simply this. When I go to apply this layer of paint, the clay doesn't stick to anything. And so I take my finger with paint on it and I pat it down and the clay comes up. And it is so annoying that I think this is a better way to go. I'm going to take a piece of deli paper. I haven't done this before. In my mind, it's going to work just perfectly. And now I'm just going to lay it down on here. Okay. Clean my acrylic rod, sort of. Yeah, it's pretty, for me, it's clean. Stand up. And I'm going to roll across, and I'm really going to push hard. I'm pushing, rolling. Reposition. Continue rolling. Reposition. Roll. And continue until I have impressed the entire sheet. It's looking pretty good. I think you can probably see that. Okay. Now it's just curling. It isn't really stuck. So let me see if I can get the end. I'm on my tippy toes, leaning forward. And I fell off. Okay, good. Good deal. Did it. Did it, did it, did it. And this is what I have. So I've impressed the whole sheet. Now I can continue to work on this sheet. Perhaps I'll give that a try. Everything is covered with a very fine layer of cornstarch. So let's take a clean brush. If I have a clean brush. Is this a clean brush? Let's dust the cornstarch off. And now I'm going to try to just dab the paint on, only covering the raised areas and not the areas that are below. Come on. There we go. I'm telling you, this Liquitex paint is great. These two colors that I'm using I have had these tubes of paint for at least 15 years. I would say it has to be at least 15 years. Okay, now, over the 15 years I've had them, they do seem to be, especially this one seems to be a little thicker, but it's still perfectly good paint. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing my best just to hit the raised areas, but I'll lift it and show you what's cooking here. Okay, so let me finish dabbing. I'm going to cover the whole sheet, and then we will move on. So I did it, and to me, it's a little bit intense. So I'm going to knock down the intensity by just putting a little more gold on the top. I love the gold because it makes that red oxide shimmer. And it's definitely, the pattern will still be there. It's just not so, there isn't so much contrast. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want tons and tons of contrast. I don't want it to look like. Now, if I eliminate too much of it, I'll just go back with a little more red oxide, boost it back up. But just a little bit too intense for me. All right, I think I like that better. There's a pattern, it just isn't screaming, look at me, I'm a pattern. Knock down the contrast. Because I didn't want it to be screaming, I'm a pattern, look at me. And that way, it almost turns into more like texture than pattern, right? It's not, it's much more subtle. Much more subtle. I don't always want subtlety, but in this case, I sure did want something that is more subtle. And I got it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to enlarge the pattern. I'll be back. So I think we're dry enough. Yeah. Okay, so here's where you can either go straight to the pasta machine, or you can try to do some of this sort of manually with the rod, just slowly stretching it out. Like so. Of course, you're going to go both directions. Okay. Now, I think I will go to my machine. I want this pattern, I want it to be completely flat, and right now it's still a little textured. So I started on 0, so I'm going to reset to 1. I'm going to put this edge on the rollers, and I'm going to roll through. Oh, look, it just slipped right through. Okay, so I'm going to go to 2. Same edge, this edge on the rollers, the longer edge. Like so. All right, so let us go to setting number 3. I'm going to do the same edge. I like it. I like it. I mean, it doesn't really look like anything in particular. It's just way more interesting than just flat gold or flat red iron oxide. Okay, so I'm going to roll this through again. Now, should I go the same direction or should I go the... I'm going to put this edge on the rollers and let's roll through. So now I'm on setting 4. Let's just spread it out more. This is good. I like it because now some of that dark underneath is starting to show up. You see some of it just starting to show up, little cracks here and there. But I think that that's just fine. Shall we go one more? Shall we go one more? I think I will. I think I will because, you know, why not? Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to take a little piece here. I'm going to roll this through setting 5 and see what I can see. Okay. Oh, I think I like that better. Okay. So now, actually, the dark underneath is creating a little more contrast. Okay, so let's do it. Arg. I really want to put this edge on the rollers. It's a little bit too wide. So let's do it. Okay, it's perfect fit. Then we go straight through. Oh yeah, I like this better. Yeah. So it's still bright gold and it has that red happening, but it isn't like straight gold and iron oxide. And it's got some interesting stuff happening where the black starts to appear through because the paint is separating and exposing the black underneath. Okay, this is what I'm sticking with. I'm not going any thinner, and then the whole sheet is going to get a lot darker. So I'm sticking with this. I like it. I'm going to have a necklace of lentils that look like this. Now, I have to write what I did down because I will have to recreate it. So I started with 0. I put the gold on, impressed, hit the raised areas with red oxide, knocked the red oxide down with a little more gold paint to the surface, and then I started thinning, and my final setting in my pasta machine was setting number 5. So I have to do that because I'm going to have to repeat it a few more times to make all my beads. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, friends, what we have to do is we have to make the base lentils. So you're going to take your scrap clay, and I'm going to take mine and roll it through like setting number 3 and setting number 4. Like so. Now, the cutter that I'm using is this middle-sized guy. Is it this guy? Yep, this guy. And it measures approximately 1 7/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is just cut circles out of my sheet. And then these will be pressed to the back of my dim sum thingy, my dim sum pan. Okay, and remember you need 2 per lentil. So you're just going to take it up, center it on one of the lumps, one of the dim sum lumps. Just press it down. Now the necklace that I made, here I'm wearing it, I just threw it on my neck, has 3, 6, 9. It has 9. You see? 9 lentils. So I would need 18 of these. So just kind of press from the middle, secure it to the metal tray. And it never hurts, this never hurts, to take a little needle and pierce little holes, just in case you have air pockets. Can't see them. But that never hurts, okay? So just keep working and doing this until you have cured the number of lentils you'll be wanting to make. It's always a good idea to make a couple extra. I mean, I made extras. I turned those extras into something else. But yeah, it's not a bad idea to make a few extras just in case something goes wrong. Okay, so I will continue and then I'll bake these in the oven. You're going to follow your manufacturer's instructions. I don't know what clay you use, so just look at the package and follow those instructions. Okay, peeps, so I did not cure those because I have all these from before. So this is, you know, they just pop right off of that metal tray. Okay, so now, as I said, you need 2 per lentil. So let us take, how is it that I lost my glue? Oh. Help me. Ah, I found my glue. Found it. Okay, so what I do is I don't even sand. I just take a bit of glue and then put it on one side, put it on the other side, maybe a third side. But it doesn't take much. Then I hold this and take another piece, just kind of put it on there and then press the 2 sides together. Just hold it for a moment or 2, like so, so that the 2 sides are glued together. Now, you still have to treat this kind of carefully because it would be quite easy to split them apart again, but you'd be surprised at how sort of durable and sturdy they are, even with just these 2 points of contact, of glued contact. Okay, so just a few minutes more, not even minutes. You know, a minute is a long time. If you're waiting for a minute, it's forever. So I'll be back. All right, so now I have to deal with this edge. You see where the 2 pieces are together? And it's pretty simple to do. You're just going to hold it like so and just sand right there. I'm trying to knock down that corner, actually. Like so. And it really doesn't take much to do this. I'm not looking to make it totally perfect. Really more, I'm trying to get rid of that cut edge. And that happens pretty fast if you're using something like this Abra net. So you're going to do both sides, of course. This side, then flip it over, do the other side. And then we're ready to put our gold laminate, our painted laminate, on the base form. Yes. Okay, turn it over. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Almost there. And that looks good to me. Okay. So let's move on. Now what you want to do before putting it on, of course, is to dust this off. You don't need to get it wet, but you do need to get rid of the sanding dust. To get rid of some of it. And I think that that's just fine. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Okay, let's move on. All right, so this was the original piece I used, the original cutter I used to make the actual lentil, to drape it over the form. So I'm going to use the next size up and just cut. And of course you need 2. For each lentil. Okay. I'm going to apply a coat of liquid clay to one side first. And then, of course, to the other side. All right, so I'm going to take this and put it, I should take off my jewelry. It really does gouge the clay. I'm going to center this over like so. Turn it over and just work the clay down. I meant to do my nails too. I just... When I was younger, I used to pay much more attention to that stuff, but I don't even wear makeup anymore. It's been so long since I've actually put on my face, I kind of forget the order of go. Let's see, does this go on 1st or 5th? All right, so there is one side. Got to trim. I'm going to take my let's really push this up along the edge to really helpful if it sticks. It's not really sticking all that much. Maybe I didn't do a good job with the liquid. I'd like to make it a little more tacky. As in feel, not in the way it looks. It's tacky. Okay, peeps, here we go. Okay, now let's give this a go. And I think instead of trying to go along the ridge, I'm just going to try to trim it this way first. And I'm just resting the blade on the side of the cured clay and rotating the piece as I go. Okay, so that helped. I got rid of some more of it, like so. Okay, now let's try that again. This time a little more steeply cut, just a bit more steep. Okay, like so. Then that actually looks very good along that edge. Now, I think for this other side, I am going to use the exact size cutter, and I'm going to do my darndest to make it go perfectly on. We'll see if I can do it. But if I can, then the whole process is simpler. Now, I'm going to use a fair amount of liquid here, because I want to be able to slide that piece around on the surface. And this amount of liquid is going to help me do just that. If I don't put enough on, then I won't be able to really slide the clay around too much. Okay. Let's cut that. And I'm going to try to center this like so. And see, I can pull and slide the clay a bit because I put a little more liquid than ordinarily I would. Most of the time when we're together working in my studio, I try not to put too much liquid on, don't I? Because I don't really want the clay to slip and slide around. This is a situation where I want that clay to slide so that I can reposition it if I have to. It gives me a little more flexibility. Okay, so I didn't really have to trim it either. Now, the one thing I have to do with these is deal with this black clay. You see all this black clay? I have to get that black clay to tuck in. And what I may have to do, let me find a needle tool. Okay. So I have a needle here. Let me see if I can push the black clay in and bring the clay on the surface up and around. Would be nice if I can do that. And if I can't, then I will take a brush and I'll just paint it. See, it's that black that I've got to try to tuck under. So I'm just physically trying to push that black underneath and pull the gold paint, the painted surface over. And that was, see, that was successful right there. So push the black in and under, and then try to draw and pull the gold surface up to cover. Like that. Okay, like that. All right, so let me continue. I will do the whole thing, and then I'll be back. All right, peeps, so I'm going to try the next one, but I think I can make it a little easier. This was fine, but, you know, I still have that black line there. So let's see if I can do a better job of eliminating that. All right, so I'm going to start the same way. I'm taking one cutout with the larger cutter, like so. Okay, and then I will make one smaller one. Can I get it out of here? Ah, there's a little pink spot. Shall I live with the pink spot? Ah. Let's see what happens. Okay. Liquid clay again. Now I'm putting a lot on here. I don't know if that might be a mistake, actually, on this side. And let's see. Work it down. Okay. Just basically wrapped it around. All right. I'm going to do the same basic thing, only I'm just going to start by making that steep cut along the edge. Okay, but before I add the other one, I think I'm going to just start to push this edge down. I'm going to try to seal up that black first. See how I'm just trying to pull the gold up and over. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually pushing the top over and trying to force that black clay underneath. I think it's working a bit. Let's see. Can I help it even more? What happens if I just cut some of that black away? Really push it down in there. You see, I'm just trying to cut the black clay from underneath the gold. One way or the other, I've got to deal with this black clay. It's just a question of whether it's easier to do it here and just physically eliminate it, or try to force it to move to a different location. So we'll see which is easier. This is fussy in its own way, isn't it? Just a little cutting. Okay. So if you look at the edge, you can see that the gold is actually coming up and over. Okay, like that. All right. Now, what are we going to do about this guy? What I think I'll do with this guy is I'm just going to take and kind of just tap that black back like so. So once again, just pulling it back from the edge. And hopefully this means that I won't have to deal with it so much. All right, lots of liquid, so I can really move this around. All right, so that's plenty of liquid, you guys can see. Lots of liquid on there. All right, let's pick this up, try to center it like so. And let's start just pulling it to the edge. A lot of liquid, so I have to hold it in the middle and stretch it to the edge. Hold it in the middle and just stretch. Okay. You know, it worked much better in some spots, but then there are still spots that I think I may have to correct. Doing a little pushing the black clay under, but it definitely did help. Doing kind of pre-removing and pushing the clay to move different ways. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do it that way because ultimately I think it does give me a better result. Let's take a look. Do they look any different? I think they look a bit different. I'm just pushing that black clay down with my needle, like so. So I'm going to let this sit for a moment. Because what has happened here, of course, is with both of these pieces, is that that smaller disc ended up being stretched across both of them. And, you know, it's still, I think, especially for this one, it's still in that phase where it wants to contract. It doesn't want to stay where I put it. And because of the slipperiness and the sheer amount of liquid clay I put on there, well, it's still able to move quite a bit. And so it's able to contract. So I want it to grab a little bit better. And I think that it's just going to take a little bit of time for the clay to sort of grab, the raw clay to grab the clay underneath. Okay. I think I'm going to like these. It's going to be a long necklace, just strings of a string of these like this. Got a real ethnic look to them. Yeah. All right. Ta-ta. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to make some more. Well, let's see what happens next. We have an enclosed space, a hollow space. What does that mean? Of course, it means we need a vent. A vent. So let's pick the worst part. Okay, what if you can't find a worst part? Because all of it's not very, oh well, you guys know what I mean. Just designate a spot. Then take a needle and pierce right in. Just like that, okay? And that's my vent. So that when I cure this and the air inside expands, when it gets cold and over-contracts, it doesn't suck in. Yeah. Yeah, it happens. It surely does. Okay. Oops. I didn't go in. I just slid underneath. Okay, so that wasn't a great spot. Let's try this spot. There we go. All the way in. Now, just to make sure, I think I would actually like to pierce a little bit deeper in there. Just to make sure I went all the way in. Yep, that's good. Let's do the other one. Now, each one of them has to have this vent, so please don't forget the vent. This is really important. After it's cured, we're going to drill the other hole. We'll drill this out, and then we'll drill a hole opposite, the opposite of this one. Now, I am going to take my needle and pierce some holes. More venting on the surface in case I've got any air bubbles in there. I'm creating escape routes. Yeah. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, peeps, I made another sheet. I used this stamp this time. Yeah, you can see it's a much, much deeper stamp. The pattern is much more apparent. You'll really see these spirals, but I treated it the same way. Gold, red iron oxide, gold on top. And I will roll it down through setting number 5 as I did before. I just have to wait until this is absolutely dry before I stick it in my pasta machine. Yeah, okay. All right, it's dry. I'm going to take this edge, put it on the rollers, and roll through my machine. Okay. Woohoo! I like it. Okay, so now let's go to 3. I'm going to do the same thing on this. Should I go this way? Okay, I'm going to go this way. All right. Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Now I have to go through 4 and 5. So, my problem is my machine is not wide enough. Let's see. How much would I have to cut off to get it through setting 6? Well, I'm going to have to cut off. Let's cut off some of this side. I'm going to try to cut off the worst parts. Now, is this going to go through? Oh, it's still too wide. All right, I'm going to roll through this way, through setting 4. Okay, and trim it. That's a bad side, but this can probably be used. Let's reset to 5 and roll through. Just going to go ahead and roll through the only way it will go through the machine. Okay, there we go. Now this guy can go through as well, and now I have this that can be used and this. I like this. I like it. I like it. Now, I'm not sure it, if I had stopped at 4, it would have been more gold, right? Yep, it would have, but I do like this. I like it. Okay, I'm leaving it. Now, all of this can be just smushed up in and used as scrap clay to make the cores, the lentil cores. All right, I'll be back. All right, peeps, there's something else we can do that will, I think, make things a bit easier. Easier yet, and that's kind of the point, isn't it? That's what we're trying to do. This is a sheet of plastic wrap. So what I'm going to do is put it on the clay sheet like so. I'm going to use the small cutter. Actually, I have to make sure I have enough. 1, 2, 3. I need one more of these guys. And then one more of those. So I want to make sure I have enough. Okay. All right. So here we go. So you're just going to place this on your clay sheet like so, and take your cutter. This is the smaller cutter. And what I'm going to do is cut the clay through the saran wrap. Actually, it's not saran, it's Costco. All right. What happens is the paper pushes the top and just forces the top down over. No, that's not the end of it. You're just going to take your fingers and pull that edge back. I think this is going to help when we get to the point of having to fit the smaller disc onto the lentil. Okay. Okay, so just pulling it back, and I think that's going to help me when I get to the point where I want to join the two discs together. Okay. So I think what I'd like to do next, I've got more beads curing. I seem to work I prepare about 5 beads. I bake, I make 5 more. So anyway, we've got a batch in the oven. But these are cured, so we might as well start talking about, yeah, holes. Let's put some holes in these babies. So first of all, I'm going to grab this guy. And here is that hole that I drilled initially. So let's just enlarge this one hole. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to string this with. Yeah. I have to grab that because this is just not, for some reason it's not tight enough. They make these are so badly designed. They're perfectly round, which means if you have, if you're twisting and trying to drill through something and it's hard to do, or hard enough to do, this starts moving. Of course, the bit moves. Yeah, why couldn't they make it square or some other shape? But no, they're round. Okay. Maybe I'll just use this guy. Okay, so obviously need 2 holes. So let me take this long dull needle and kind of, sort of guesstimate where the opposite point is, and I would guesstimate it to be about right there. So I'm just going to take my needle. I can still see it. Let's just go with this guy and try to drill straight through. I'm aiming at that hole. All right. Now, because these are quite thin, I'll probably end up using tiger tail for this. But what I do have is this. Oh, not that. I have so much stuff here. And, you know, it's good stuff. But I have to find this one good thing I'm looking for. I'll be back. Okay, found it. It was just in a different place. Anyway, these are kind of interesting. It's just a long wire. And so for something like this, they do kind of come in handy, you see. So if I were going to string this on tiger tail, I could actually take that tiger tail, loop it over, and pull it through like that, which is so much better than just taking something and trying to locate the other side. Now, let's say I was going to do a cord. I would do hollow cord, but I would take the hollow cord like that, and I would put a needle or put a wire through it, and then send the whole thing through like that. So you send the wire through, and then you pull this along. And that works pretty well. You can even glue the wire inside here so that you can thread and string your pieces. All right, so I'm going to do the rest. I've decided I probably will make this a choker. Not only because I'm lazy, but no, I think it'll be a better choker. So there's my original hole. I will drill through, and I don't know, maybe I'll incorporate I haven't decided yet. Have not decided. I'll have a lot of pieces to work with, though. I'll be back. All right, so I baked the clasp. Here it is. And, you know, I think that I can cut some of this off. Let's say about right there. Let me take a look at what this, yeah, I can. Absolutely. So let's just cut it off. Just going to take my stiff blade, cut it off. Now, I can even cut some of this off, but of course I want to leave this point out here. Got to leave that there because that's what you use to grip and take it off. So I would say I can probably do one of these numbers. So just cut this corner off. All right, like so. Now let's take a look again, and that's great. See, just a little bit sticking out like that. All right, nice clean cut there. So now I can take these guys, and you know, they're not all the same length. Let's look at them, because I want the longest ones I can find. They're about the same length, but sometimes you'll see some that are longer. Not sure these are, oh, the silver one, see, look how long that guy is. I really wanted to use gold. Okay, so this is one of those situations where you, okay, wait. If I use the silver one, it's much more secure than the gold one. See how short that is? Okay, so I'm going for security. I am going for security, not the way it looks. Okay, so I'm going to use these big guys, Yes, big guys. Because it's more important for me to have screws that will not come out. All right, so let me get my... What?
Can you give me a hand?
Okay. I'll be back. I have to help Vernon. I'll be back. Okay. I had to help the old man. Ooh, where was I? Right here. Let's just make this a little bit larger. You know, I think I'll actually just drill a bit. Okay, now the only thing I have to make sure of is that I don't drill out of the other end, and I think, and I won't. Oops. Oh me, oh my. That's better. Well, it's kind of in there. Try to screw these in straight. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, so let's see. That's not too bad. Once it grabs, all you have to do is that. But look what happened. It split because this is rather large. That's bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some glue in there. And let's see if this will do the trick, okay? Kind of have to get my blade in there. And if this doesn't work, I have to do the whole, I have to make this piece again. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. Okay, come on. In you go. Just, let's see. And you know, when I come back and I do it again, what I will do, you know what I did? Okay, so this is why it cracked, I believe. When I took that, I pushed it awfully hard, and I was like kind of like forcing it in there. And I shouldn't have forced it that way, because it was that same thing that happens if you drill a hole and you push it too hard or you drill too fast. Yeah, you might split it, as I did. I split it, didn't I? Okay, so that's going to sit there for a moment. But what I can do is drill into this piece. I am looking for the center Where is the middle? That looks kind of like the middle to me. There it is. Is that the middle? Maybe a little bit to the right. Okay, so let's try the same thing and see if I could not split this, but look how thick it is. Okay, let me just drill a bit like that. Let's try to get this in without doing damage. Okay, now I'm not really pushing as I am screwing this in. Like so. Just let it go slowly. And at this point, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there at the base. And let's work it all the way in. Okay, how does that look? Da, 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 da. Perfect. Okay. All right, so this is my box of crimps. Tell you, I really like these guys, these crimps. These guys. We'll stick with silver. I got these from Temu, and they're interesting because they look a lot like beads. Oops. So you're going to use it the same way. Take it, thread it through, bring it back through again. And then see this? Actually, I want to move past this kind of bad part. Like so. Let's move to the good part. I have plenty of tiger tail. See that? Well, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab that thing and try to push it in. So I've got it. Oh, first I want to tighten it, of course. That would not be the right place to tighten it, would it? And see how it went in? Well, it didn't go in quite enough yet. So I have to continue, grip, and really get it in there. Boom. Like that. I think I need to tighten it just a bit more. That's better. Now it's really flat. It was sticking up a bit. Okay, so that's the crimp. And you know what? I should have pulled this through just a tiny bit more, but I can straighten this out a bit and send it back into the adjacent bead. Okay, so let's send it through. Back in. Then pull. And I will, once this is dry, I will try to drill again. Hopefully I will not crack it out. Now this is a choker, obviously, so it's not like securing a very long necklace. You have a little more latitude. If I were making a very long necklace, I could probably secure this end with the piece kind of like this. But because the diameter of a choker is smaller, you want to make sure that you attach the ends when the piece is engaged, when the clasp is engaged, okay? That way you don't over tighten it, because it is totally possible to over tighten it. And if you over tighten it, then you can't get the two, and you can't engage the clasp. There just isn't physically enough length in the tiger tail, okay? It's even worse with bracelets. If you're making a bracelet like this, don't ever attach the two ends of the clasp when it's open. Always bring it together. Always attach the ends of your clasp, both sides of the clasp, when they're engaged. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because if you do it when it's straight, like you have one part of the clasp over here and another part over here, you won't be able to actually bring the two ends together. Okay. I can, however, secure this like so. Let's try again. Well, that wasn't a great beginning. Okay, now just go slow and let it get in there without pushing it at all. It's kind of splitting on that side just a tiny little bit. Let me hold that down. I am going to apply some glue. See that? Yeah. Okay, let's just do it. Not ideal. Not ideal. Okay, pinch, 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 pinch. Get in there. You know, I'm gonna get something. I'll be back. I have many clamps, always looking for the perfect clamp in my life. Just gonna put this here and let this guy just push that together like so. I'm gonna let it dry that way, see? So it's just pushing the two sides back together where the split occurred, and I've got the glue in there as well. So I think we're gonna be just fine. Now, if I were worried about that more than I am, I could easily take raw clay and just kind of fill in that area and cure it again. Okay, so let's just let this sit and I'll be back. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. And so now I can attach the other side. So I'm going to put it back in the clasp. Like so. I've got my crimp on. These really are great little things. I like it. I like them. I think much more interesting than your regular old crimp. The regular old crimp bead. Okay. Just trying to hold on to one side and pull the loose side through. Okay, it gets a little difficult. It's a little difficult because your little fingers get in. Because your little fingies. Now, let me just try to pull it like this. And it's hanging up just a tiny bit. Okay, let me just try to see if I can, let me back that down there. See if I can just pull the loose end through. There we go. There we go. Okay, now pliers. Pliers. These guys or these great big guys? I'm gonna use these great big guys. Can't quite see if I've caught it. I thought I had it. Maybe I'll use these. I have a better view. Knock on wood, I haven't broken one of these yet. Okay, there we go. All right, that's good. Now, in some places, there might be a little bit of an overlap. That's fine. I don't mind that one little bit. All right, I ruined these. Look at these. I ruined them. Don't cut wire, like memory wire, with your jewelry pliers. I mean, your jewelry cutters. That's what happens. Okay, so let's see if I can get this guy in just by kind of pushing it in there like so. Come on, get in. You can go. You can, okay. Come on, get it in. Ta-ta! There we are. Oh, I like it. I'll wear this. I will wear this. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at what I did with my scraps, because definitely you don't want to let this go to waste. So here are some beads, the beads, and here are the beads I made before with the overprinting class. So you can see them. That gold paint, for me, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, so beads, of course. Simple enough to do. Now, I had a couple leftover discs, lentils, so I decided that I would make necklaces. So this can, of course, be just, stick your head in the hole, and you're done. It's good. But you can also wear it like this, double it over, and you have a nice little choker, easy enough to wear, just like that. This one's a little bit longer. This one is actually a little bit too long, I find, but same kind of thing. So you can wear it either way. Now, the thing about this being so long is the gravity is always going to pull this down, so you're always going to end up with something that looks more like this, right? Where the piece kind of falls farther down. It's kind of hard just to keep it here. I suppose if I put another O-ring on, you could probably tighten the O-ring down like this, but that's a lot of stress on a little O-ring. Anyway, so I prefer the one that's a tiny bit shorter, like this, because even when gravity pulls it down, it's going to end up at your neckline. Okay, so there are two things you can do with the leftover, if you have leftover lentils. Now, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with these guys, but I'm going to do something with them. Could be earrings, could be, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I like them. Okay. Okay, well, here we are at the end of our tutorial. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you make lots of lentils and beads and lariats. I did realize that, you know, I assume certain things about what you might know and what you might not know. Now, this cord that I've used here, it's a synthetic rubber cord, and you can find this on Amazon. You can find it, I think, probably through Temu, and I favor 2 millimeters in diameter. That's what this is, 2 millimeters. These are just little O-rings, and the O-rings, I don't remember exactly where I got them. They're quite expensive if you buy them at the hardware store, and they're quite cheap if you can find them on Amazon and on Temu. But I suspect the ones in the hardware store are probably a higher quality of rubber because, you know, you're using it for a different purpose. These are decorative, right? So anyway, that's what I've used to string these. Now, what did I use to glue? I used Loctite Super Glue Ultra Gel Control. This stuff is really great. And it's got this applicator is wonderful. Ooh, you just squeeze here and you don't get that sploosh. Sometimes when you use a tube like this, if you grip the bottom too much, you're going to open the top and the glue just kind of, it oozes out. And it's difficult to stop. But what I will tell you is when you have squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and you think you are at the end, there is no more in the tube. Do not be deceived. There is so much more glue in the tube. This was originally in here. So I just take a hammer and I break the housing and I free the glue. And then I've got all this glue. Look at all that. All that up there is glue. And I thought this was empty. So by all means, don't let good glue go to waste. Okay. Now, what did I string on? I strung this on tiger tail. That's what we used to call it. I don't know what do you call it now? I always called it tiger tail. In the 80s, it was tiger tail. So anyway, what it is I think it's woven wire that has a plastic, thin plastic coating. And it's really great because it's super strong. Now to secure, I already showed you these crimps. I got these from Temu. They're really wonderful. Good looking. Very good looking. Now these are screw eye pins. You can get those once again. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them through Temu. Yeah, I have enough to last for the rest of my life. So I think that's it. We used paint, and paint on clay is something that I really, really love to do. And, you know, it's great because it's simple, doesn't require a lot of materials. Of course, you're going to need something to make an impression. Then you're going to need just a few things. Well, you saw, this is not one of those projects or techniques that require that you run out and spend $100 on stuff. So anyway, that's it for us today. Thanks again for watching. I hope you tune in for more. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe. And by all means, if you think somebody might enjoy it or need the information, please share them too. So until we meet again, I'm Donna Kato and I'm signing off. Bye.